Hey, I'm Jim Murray Whiteside II. Today I'm going to tell you the story about the Sparkle City Kid. In the background, you see the town of Spartanburg, South Carolina. And the reason the Spartanburg has the name or the nickname of Sparkle City is back in 1957, there was some teenage kids from Calpians High School that started a group, a music group, and they become really famous for a song called Black Slacks. So the Sparkle Tones was their name. So now, since then, Spartanburg, South Carolina has been nicknamed Sparkle City. So the Sparkle City Kid, the story I'm about to tell you about, is the story of a kid that throughout his life he had a bunch of ebbs and flows, ups and downs, some tragedies and some triumphs. So to dive right in, 20 years later, 1977, the Sparkle City Kid's born. Sparkle City Kid was brought up into a really broken home. Dad wasn't around a lot. Dad was a journeyman electrician. Mom had to work multiple jobs when the dad was out of town, wasn't around, wasn't sending money to help provide for the family. And when he was home, he was abusing alcohol and abusing the Sparkle City Kid and his sister. He had an older sister. The Sparkle City Kid's dad would abuse the mom every time he come home was drunk. So there was times growing up, as far back as the Sparkle City Kid could remember, that him and his sister would go hide in the closet somewhere and just sleep there. And they were so scared they wouldn't even come out to use the restroom. They would urinate and defecate on themselves. Really traumatic upbringing. So fast forward, first grade, the Sparkle City Kid, there was a lice epidemic that broke out into the school, and all the boys had to get their head shaved, and all the girls had to get most of their hair cut off and did lice treatments. But because this child was a minority in the school, he was picked on a lot anyway. He was picked on not only because of his skin color, and they would hit him with the rulers and pencils and smack his head to make his skin tone change colors, and they would laugh and pick on him. Even the girls would do it, and there was nothing he can do because he was outnumbered, being a minority in the school. And also, Sparkle City Kid had a speech impediment, couldn't talk right, couldn't pronounce his R's too good. And at the time, years later, it was up into his 40s before he found out that he was dyslexic. So the Sparkle City Kid did not understand why he couldn't learn. He had a tough time learning. The kids, he wasn't being fed properly because, he at home, he wasn't getting fed too much. Mom did what she could when dad wasn't around, but really, like some kids still today, they rely on their school lunch, but the Sparkle City Kid was getting picked on. Other kids would take his lunch, knock it out of his hands, or either spit in his food. So he was having, malnutrition, was being bullied, couldn't learn, real difficult time at home and at school. And on his 12th birthday, a real traumatic situation happened. His dad come in town and just showed up to give him his birthday gift, and his dad got upset because some of his dad's family was there, and his dad didn't like it because at the time the dad and mom were not together, so he didn't think that his family should be there, at his child's birthday party. And it was kind of weird, but anyway, that's just the way his dad thought. So his dad started stabbing his mom. They got in an argument, started stabbing his mom, and nearly killed his mom on his 12th birthday. And 6 months later, Sparkle City Kid contemplated taking his own life, was thinking about suicide until he met a friend that was going through the same thing at home. He met a friend that his dad was an alcoholic too, and wasn't really abusive towards him, but just being an alcoholic in a home, and it's real difficult on children to witness. So his friend and himself just started helping one another. not saying it's right, but they would tell one parent that they was going to go spend a night. Yeah, we've all been through that before. They would tell one parent that he's going to go spend a night over there, and vice versa. And they would go out and just camp out in the woods just to be alone and be away from the drama going on at home. 12, 13-year-old kids. So moving forward, when Sparkle City Kid is about 17 years old, he just cannot learn right. And then he finds out that he's got a daughter on the way, got his girlfriend pregnant. And so the Sparkle City Kid decided to just leave school, get his GED. He didn't think he was going to pass anyway. He made it to the 10th grade, but really he didn't really have a ninth grade formal education. So he gets his GED, leaves school, and starts planning on being a father. But gets married, 18 years old. Within 2 years, the marriage fails because he don't know how to be a dad. He never had a good example. He don't know how to be a father, never had a good example. So the marriage fails. He starts partying and drinking, as they call it, sowing their wild oats. But about 2 or 3 years later, he met another young lady, and she tried to help him out, calm him down. And just one night, he started reading the Bible. Was actually just sitting at home, not out at bars. Was at home just drinking some beer. And he just opened up the Bible and started seeing, how Jesus healed people and got people on the right paths and stuff, and started asking God to help him out. So he ended up joining a church, stopped drinking, stopped partying, and ended up just started focusing on studying God's word. And deep down inside of him, he knew he wanted to do more with inside the church. So he asked the leaders of the Southern Free Will Baptist Church he was attending if he could, start learning to be a preacher in the denomination. And so they started, giving him opportunities to teach and preach, and actually started teaching the 55 to 65-year-old Sunday school class. And as he was doing the studies of the doctrine of the Southern Free Will Baptist Church, he was just like, some questions started coming up as he was studying God's word compared to the doctrine that he was learning. And he was bringing up these questions, about how it was kind of contradictory that the Bible says one thing and y'all are teaching, something like totally opposite. So long story short, because he continued to not shut up and sit down and bringing up like, look, we should be doing this instead of, what y'all are teaching. We should be following God's word. So they excommunicated him out of the church. Fast forward 6 months later, he's on drugs again, drinking real heavily, actually leaves his home, really drunk one night, totals their family vehicle. I mean, he just spiraled down really, really fast. And he ended up losing his CDLs, which at the time, for about 2 years, he had bought his own 18-wheeler, started his own business, was doing really well until that night that he totaled the family vehicle and left the scene of the accident. They didn't get him for DUI, but they got him for leaving the scene of the accident, and he lost his CDLs for 6 months, so he couldn't drive, earn a living. Had to give up his truck, and just lost everything. Drinking even heavier, just wasn't focused on life, and ended up accepting an offer from a friend of his to take his friend down to Florida. And he was going to take his friend down to Florida and then drop him off. He was going to make a few $100 for taking him and, come back to Spartanburg. But things went wrong in this little town called Little Wissy, Georgia, which is in Long County. As the Sparkle City Kid and his friend were going through Little Wissy, Georgia, it's called the speed trap of the world. Little Wissy, Georgia, they got pulled over, and they end up running from the police through two different counties, Long County, and it was Wayne County, running through two different counties from the police. Man, and during the police chase, the Usher song, Yeah, Come On, with Usher, Little John, and Ludacris. The song Yeah, Come On, which kind of pumped him up and hyped him up. So he just took off running from the police. And as he's running from the police, listening to that song, he just lost all care for the world. He was mad at God, mad at the church, mad at himself, and just didn't care. So long story short, he ends up in jail. And April 12th, 2004 is when this occurred. Today is April 12th, 2024. So this has been 20 years. This story is a 20-year-old story from this point on. So on April 12th, 2004, he gets incarcerated, and at the end of January of 2025, his public defender comes to him and tells him, look, you're going to court Monday, which is February 1st, and it's actually the day before his 28th birthday, the Sparkle City kid's birthday. And his public defender says, look, come Monday morning, judge is looking at 20-year prison sentence. So over the weekend, Sparkle City kid just, starts praying and praying and praying and, asking God, turn towards, he's on his bunk bed, didn't socialize too much, didn't hardly eat anything over the weekend in the county jail, and we're just praying to God, laying in his bunk, crying towards the wall, asking God not to, let him do 20-year prison sentence. He wanted to man up and do the time, well deserved, but he was asking God not for a 20-year prison sentence. So February 1st goes to court. Judge asks him if he understands his charges and the time that he's looking at. And Sparkle City kid says, yeah, I understand, but there's one thing I want to ask of you. And the judge said, yeah, what's that? And he was like, this is the first time I've ever been in trouble like this. Before this, I was, I owned my own truck. I started a trucking business. I was trying to do right and everything, but I made some bad choices when I was kicked out of my church, and I got mad at God, the world, and myself. And I just made some bad choices. But my aim is to, when I do get out of prison, is to help other people, not make the same choices again. And I do have some other business ideas that I would like to accomplish. So the judge looks at the Sparkle City kid and he's like, well, let's take a recess and let me check your background just to make sure this is the first time you've ever been in trouble. So we took a two-hour recess, and we'll come back. The judge said, look, I looked over your record, you're clean. Your story rings true. I could see where you owned your own trucking business and everything. I won't give you a benefit of the doubt, but you're still going to get a 20-year prison sentence, suspended to 5 years. You got to do 5 years in the penal system. If you do get paroled, then if you catch another charge either in prison, or if you get paroled and catch another charge before the 5 years is up, you're going to come back and do this 20 years. But if you complete the program and you get out, your charges will be expunged, and your felony record will be sealed like it never happened. So the Sparkle City kid was spared 15 years of his life, just like King Hezekiah in the Bible. When King Hezekiah turned towards the wall and prayed when he found out that he was going to die, and he turned to the wall and asked God to spare his life, God gave him 15 more years. So the Sparkle City kid saw this as like, God gave me 15 more years. I got to take advantage of it. So while the Sparkle City kid was in prison, he started reading more of the Bible, getting in tune and in lock with God, learning God's way of life instead of mankind's, denominations or theory, ways of life. So he started following God's way of life while he was incarcerated, started studying business books, entrepreneurship books, self-help books, to so when he got out of prison, he could start another business and be well on his way. But it wasn't long after he got out of prison, 5 years later, it was not long. I think it was within 6 months, not even 6 months, barely, he started using drugs and alcohol again. It's like he forgot, like the Israelites, like they would do good for a while, but then Sparkle City Kid found himself like living God's way of life for a while, and then as soon as he got out into the real world, as they call it, he just started spiraling down again, doing drugs and alcohol, and this time it was even more. It was like crack and meth, even more than he'd done before, and drinking a lot of alcohol. So he met someone, and in a short period of time, the person that he met, she had gotten pregnant, and she had left him, as soon as she got pregnant. But Sparkle City Kid didn't really know if that was his child or not, because he was working like 12 hours a day at this moment. He didn't know what this girl was doing during the day. So the child was born on April 12th, 2011, which was April 12th again. That's the third time in the story that date has come up. April 12th, 2004 is when the police chase happened and the Sparkle City Kid got arrested. April 12th, 2009 is when he got out of prison and was done with everything. 2 years after he was out, he had a daughter on April 12th, 2011, but he was not with the child's mother. So they did a DNA test after the child was born, and it took a few months before the Sparkle City Kid knew that the child was actually his, and it come back that the child was his. But in the meantime, on June 25th of 2011, Sparkle City Kid met a woman that changed his life. And the very first night that he met this woman, he started telling her about some ideas and things, and he wanted to let her know that 2 weeks prior to meeting her, he was contemplating killing himself. And because one thing, he didn't know if he could be a good father to his newborn child, or the child at the time, he didn't know it was going to be his, but he knew she was born and was possibly his. He told her, he was like, I don't know if I have a child or not, but I didn't know if I could be a good father to that child. So I was gonna, I was in a bad place and I was gonna commit suicide. And something just told me not to. And I felt it deep down in my soul, my inner being, that it was God telling me not to commit suicide. So here I am 2 weeks later, and telling you my, dreams and aspirations. And you just told me that you believe that I can do anything that I set my mind to. And I was like, I'm sorry to put so much weight on you the very first night that we have met, but I really do think God 2 weeks ago was telling me to hold off, because he was going to line me up to meet you. And she kind of took a step back and was like, I don't know that much about that, but I think you're an interesting person, and I think with your dreams and aspirations, just meeting you for the few hours, you you can do anything you set your mind to. I just see that in you, and I believe that you can do it. And it was at that time that the Sparkle City Kid just started, focusing on becoming the best version of themselves that God had created him to be. So fast forward a year later, he finds out that the child was his, And exact year to the date, June 25th, 2012, he marries the woman that he met that night, 2 weeks before he was contemplating committing suicide. So they're married, and so that's a real high in his life, a real pinnacle. And just a few months later, in August 7th, 2012, as a matter of fact, Sparkle City Kid's best friend and sister, she died in her sleep. It took a toll on him. And she was like the person that he could go to when all life was bad. And all of a sudden, she's gone. And just a few short 9 months later, Sparkle City Kid's mom dies. She had some health issues, but he was kind of prepared for her death. But he really honestly believes that his mom grieved herself to death and gave up on life when her daughter died. And it was so cruciating because April 7th was the Sparkle City Kid's mom's birthday. It was his mom's 55th birthday, and his sister and her daughter dies on her birthday. And so 9 months later, she passes away, pretty much gives up on life, and just can't bear to be in life anymore. So moving forward, Sparkle City Kid just started focusing on his family and trying to get recognition from the world, to not think about his tragedies that just happened. So Sparkle City Kid and his wife, they start 3 or 4 more businesses within like 4 or 5 years. They got like 5 businesses going. Started another trucking company, had some stores, some networking companies, bonding people together. Sparkle City Kid's a great networker, joins people, great joint venture partner. You know, he just draws people together and puts people together, builds relationships. So they got like 5 businesses going. He's like back on high again, pinnacle, buying cars, buying homes, just doing what he thought that he should do at the time to get his mind off the tragedies that was happening. But none of that was fulfilling him. And he finally come to realization that all the fame and fortune that he was seeking and chasing after didn't mean nothing. And he actually started declining in health, and his body was turning against him. And he didn't know it, but his sister died of Crohn's disease. She had battled Crohn's disease for 12 years or so, and it caused stress on her heart. So both his sister and his mom passed away of congestive heart failure. So he was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, which is on the opposite end of the digestional system. Crohn's disease is in the top part of your immune system and digestive system, and colitis is in the colon area. So he was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis and was not doing good. Lost a lot of blood, and was losing his health. He decided that he had to relieve his stress. So he wasn't telling a lot of people in his life what was going on. So he just sold everything off, uh, liquidated the stores. He had a few general stores, liquidated the stores, just shut them down, got rid of all of his trucking equipment, uh, and let some trucks go back, put him in debt, some third party debt. And he had to slow down in life to get healthy. So his wife had an opportunity with her work to be transferred to Dallas, Texas. So they made the decision to sell their home, uh, liquidate everything, shut down the trucking company, get rid of the equipment, so he could go take some time off while she got a promotion in her job, so he can get back healthy. And a lot of people didn't know that. And a lot of people still don't know that, what he had to do to still be alive today. He had to go get strengthened. So they moved to Texas. And when they moved to Texas, while he was recuperating and trying to heal his body, um, he still had some battle with alcohol himself. He was drinking a lot, feeling sorry for himself, and a lot of things was going on. And through it all, you know, he finally, you know, started focusing more on his studies that he promised God with. And so November of 2021, he gets a doctorate's degree. He finally earns a doctorate's degree of metaphysics. And metaphysics is a study of, it's anciently called the first philosophy, but it's also the origins of things. And he studied a lot of eschatology to the ending of things, and studying the Bible more and more on why God created us. So he started writing some books, and he just started writing books and self-publishing on Amazon, and not really to gain fame and fortune again. All that was under the bridge. He was writing these books to inspire people, mostly people that's incarcerated. Because when he got to Dallas, he met the CEO at the time, Brian Kelly. And Brian Kelly actually did a 20-year prison sentence too, and got out and become the CEO of the prison entrepreneurship program. So when he met the CEO at a networking event, as he was starting to network and build other businesses and stuff in Dallas, Brian took him into prisons again. It was actually February 1st, 2018, on his, it was February 2nd, 2018. He went into prisons again to this time inspire men and women. And so he just dived in, and him and his wife started prison ministry. So the first business they started was a prison ministry. Then they got involved in a few other things. And eventually, as he was writing these books during COVID, especially when everything was shutting down, during COVID, he got 2 books published. And then he continued to write and write and write and write. And then they started a coaching company. So they started mentoring people inside of prisons, and when they got outside of prisons, just helping men and women adapt back into society, preparing them for when they did get released to come back in society with a better education. Started teaching them financial education, how to start their own business, grow their own business. So they started coaching and mentoring something that was really on his heart to do. So he started fulfilling, after everything that he's been through, he started fulfilling the promise that he made to God. Uh, when God gave him those extra 15 years, he started doing that and writing the books for people in prisons and stuff, and trying to inspire them, getting the books into the prisons. And he just really got focused on helping other people. And as he started helping more people, his health started returning. His battle with alcohol abuse was subsided. He stopped drinking alcohol. He even wrote a book on stories of alcohol. Uh, the book is called Getting Drunk with God. Instead of getting drunk on alcohol and abusing alcohol, the book tells of 7 stories of men, 6 men of the Bible that had problems after God's calling on their life. They run away or did some bad things, but God was still graceful enough to fulfill his purpose and what he was calling them for. So he wrote that book, Getting Drunk with God, where he's not getting drunk on alcohol anymore. He's getting drunk on God by pouring himself into others that have been affected by the penal system. So, long story short, to date, the Sparkle City Kid has written 9 books. Actually, 2 of them. Today is April 12th, 2024, 20 years ago. I'm pretty sure y'all already know I'm the Sparkle City Kid. This is my story. And I want to get I want to get my story out there to not only inspire other people that's in prison to not give up, but also to uh, help other people understand that this life we're given is not a given. It's an opportunity for us to become the best version of ourselves that God has created us to be. And it's the reason I wanted to record this on April 12th, 2024, because it's been 20 years since that day I was incarcerated. And I've been out 15 years today. And as y'all recall, I told y'all I had a daughter. Her name's Olivia. She was born on April 12th, 2011. Today is her 13th birthday. And God's given me another chance to be the husband and the father and the inspiration to our communities, and to fulfill that promise to him that I made in that prison cell. I'm going to complete it. And there's something else I want to revert back a little bit. I kind of missed it, but all the ebbs and flows that I went through right after I earned my doctorate degree in November 2021. On April 1st, 2022, a few short months later, my dad, Jimmy Ray Whiteside, he had a battle with methamphetamines after he had gotten out of prison. My dad ended up serving about a third of his life in prison. And at the age of 64, April 1st, 2022, he attacked my aunt in her home. And he was on methamphetamines. And he was trying to kill my aunt. And one of the last things he told my aunt was, I'm going to kill us before they torture us. My dad was, I honestly believe in the studies of metaphysics and understanding how drugs can influence and how evil spirits is a gateway. Drugs are a gateway for evil spirits. I honestly believe my dad was possessed with demons. And one of the main reasons I'm reverting back to this is because I want people to know that have battles with drugs and alcohols that it's just a gateway for demonic possession. Because one of the last, my dad had, I got hazel eyes, and my dad always had blue, real deep set blue eyes. But the last time I saw my dad, his eyes were pitch black. And I knew at that moment that something was wrong with him. He was possessed. And then when this occurred on April 1st, 2022, right after another pinnacle moment in my life where I earned my doctorate degree after having, I have dyslexia, couldn't learn ninth grade formal education, but I continued to study my whole life, even though I was having battles with alcohol myself. I earned that doctorate degree, and then a few months later, my dad gets shot and killed by the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Department. And it's a justified shooting. He was trying to harm my aunt. He was high on drugs and possessed. Spartanburg County shot my dad. And he died. And even though I didn't really know him, he's still my dad. But one thing that I want to make clear is I don't want my dad's legacy to die with him. From this point on in my life, I'm going to try everything I can possible to not let his legacy die that night. I want his legacy to live on through me, his son, Jimmy Ray Whiteside II. And I want the world to know that we can stop generational curses, and we can stop if we allow God to guide our lives. So I want to end with this. I've really gotten emotional at the end of this. I tried not to be, but anyway, that's my life story. I'm the Sparkle City kid. I've been bullied because of my speech impediments, my learning disabilities, and the color of my skin. Because in the school that I went to, there was only three or four white children, and because we was the minorities, I've endured prejudice because of the color of my skin. I've been beat because of the color of my skin, and I just want people to know that we all go through difficult times. And it's something I wrote in a few of the books I've written. There's only one race, and that's the human race. God created us all in his image. And we got to stop fighting against skin color and cultural and, boundaries. God created us all. We're all created by him. And we got to treat each other better. And the book that I just published 2 more books today, April 12th, 2024 on Amazon. The books are called A Disciple of Theology and A Disciple of Jesus Christ Are in a Bar. It's a prelude after, getting drunk with God. But the bar is not what you think a bar, like where you go to drink. A bar is a biblical arena of rhetoric. So I've got 3 books plotted, 2 of them published today, volumes 1 and 2, about studies about the way God wants us to live. And the second one, volume 2, is on the 10 Commandments. And I just want people to realize, and I'm not trying to do this to earn any money or, gain popularity about this. Those are the 8th and 9th books that I've written. And I got 6 more that I've plotted out that I'm working on now, 6 more books as of right now. But the 9 books that I've published thus far is all to help other people. And the 2 that I just published today, that's on Amazon, the bar books, as I call them, they're going to help you. The second volume is about God's 10 Commandments and how we today are, should still obey God's 10 Commandments, the moral laws, their guidelines of how to live a godly life. And I just want to help other people. And my business ventures that I got going on, my coaching, and I'm a marketing strategist and a sales strategist. I'm working with a couple other businesses. So right now we got our nonprofit prison ministry, Distinguished Group Ministries, and I'm marketing for this other company called Inbox Boost at this moment. They're soundproof booths that you can use in your home, business, or office. More on that later. I'm not trying to do a plug on that, but the books that I'm writing, all 9 books, the proceeds go to our prison ministry. So if you purchase our books or anything, it goes straight to our prison ministry. And I just want to get the word out there. I want to put this video out there to if there's any speaking engagements that I can come out and tell my story. Maybe it'll help people in prison. Maybe it'll help someone in a business. I am a thought leader speaker. I don't normally cry when I speak. This is just my personal story. So it's really touching. And I just want everybody to know that I'm a Sparkle City kid and I'm not going to give up ever. And I don't want you to either. So I'm going to leave at that. And if this video helps anybody, I pray that it does. I don't know who this is for, but you buy the books or any speaking engagements that I do go straight to the prison ministry. So help us build a prison ministry to help men and women when they get out, get their children back, get their life back, and help them start businesses and become the best version of themselves that God created them to be. Any of y'all that want to join that, please contact me, and let's help all the people that we can to become, like Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. And that's what I'm asking y'all to do. If y'all want to help our ministries and help us to help the people in the prison ministries, feel free to reach out and help us any way you can, volunteering, donating, buying the books that go straight to our prison ministry, or inviting me to do some inspirational speaker in your church, business, or conferences. Reach out to me and I would be glad to do it all. And just know that when you sign the check, checks go straight to our prison ministry. So I'm not trying to make any money off the speaking gigs or anything like that. So let's help these other people that have been affected by the penal system. May you have a productive day and may you enjoy a purposeful and fulfilled life. Thanks for listening.